God, for another day that was upon us.
Yes, God.
And Lord God, we pray, Lord God, that you would bless the shepherd of this house.
Yes, God. Yes,
Pastor
Lord.
Johnson, Lord God. Asking you, Lord God, just to touch him, Lord God, from the crown of his head
Yes, God.
to the
Right
very
now,
sole of his
Jesus.
feet.
Yes,
And lift
God.
him, Lord God, on all men's
Yes,
sides.
Lord.
Lord God, we want to thank you, Lord God, for the first lady of this house.
Yes, Lord. Thank you.
We want to thank you, Lord God, for the mother of this house.
Yes, thank you.
We want to thank you, Lord God, for each and every last person this morning.
Yes,
But
Lord.
Lord God, we know, Lord God, that it's all about you.
Oh,
And
yes,
it's
God.
Sunday this morning, Lord
Thank you,
God.
Lord.
Lord God, you say, bring them up, Lord God. Lord God, we want to thank you, Lord God, for the children, Lord God. Asking you, Lord God, just to send an angel of protection around these little
Yes,
ones,
God.
Lord.
Right now.
Teach them, Lord God, in the way they should go, Lord God.
Yes, God.
Lord God, keep them, Lord God, shield from all childhood disease, Lord God. But Lord God, teach them, Lord God, how to uplift your holy and righteous name. Lord God, we want to thank you for each last and every last one of these children, Lord God.
Right now.
Bless them, Lord God, more than we could ask, Lord
Yes,
God.
God.
Lord God, don't forget about their parents, Lord God.
Yes,
Bless
Lord.
them, Lord God. And teach and train them, Lord God. Lord God, don't forget about the street people, Lord God. Let them know, Lord God, that the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. And Lord God, we just want to say thank you. If we had 1,000 tongues, Lord God, it wouldn't be enough. And we take it this time off right now, Lord God, just to say thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
So we will now have our news and announcements. The one-day session of the Old Ashley Baptist Sunday School Convention and BTU will be held on Saturday, February 22nd at Thankful Baptist Church in Estill, South Carolina. Breakfast and registration begins at 9 a.m. Bethel AME Church, North Charleston invites you to a 10,000 blessing program Sunday, February 16th to 2020 at 3 p.m. We do not have any first-time visitors, but I would like to thank all of you that have come out to partake in the service with us. We will now move forward with our tithing offering. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you. We will now have our moment of Blak History with Deacon Reese.
Amen.
And then we're going to get y'all money.
Give Deacon Reese a hand as he comes.
There you go. I appreciate that.
I was actually last week. There was a moment in our Black history that we try to forget, or the world tried to forget, and some things we try to put out of our mind, but some things we got to remember.
Yes.
The ill treatment of blacks back in the, what they call the Jim Crow era, back in the 30s, 40s, 50s. They, if you were born after the 70s, you wouldn't even know what this is.
Green book.
This here is a green book.
Yep.
There was ill treatment of blacks. You probably heard about the lunch counter, and they wouldn't feed people through the front door and the water fountain and all of that. But as black people prosper back in the Jim Crow era, they was encouraged to buy automobiles. That was a good thing. When they traveled, they had problems with people in certain towns, and they wouldn't serve you gas and food and lodging and things like that. So this book, we used to travel with this book to let them know certain parts of the state, certain part of the town you don't even want to stop through because they're gonna treat you bad. So I just thought I'd give you that version of it. Let me read the history on it. The Negro Motorist Green Book, also, that's what this is. Also the Negro Motorist Green Book, the Negro Traveler's Green Book, or simply the Green Book, was an annual guidebook for African American road trippers. It was originated and published by African American New York City mailman Victor Hugo Green from 1936 to 1966 during the era of Jim Crow laws, when open and often legally prescribed discrimination against African Americans, especially and other non-whites, was widespread. Although perversive racial discrimination and poverty limited black car owners, the emerging African American middle class bought automobiles as soon as they could. But faced with a variety of dangers and inconvenience along the road, from refusal of food and lodging to arbitrary arrest. In response, Green wrote his guide to service in places relatively friendly to African Americans, eventually expanding in coverage from the New York area to much of North America, as well as founding a travel agency. Many black Americans took to driving, in part to avoid segregation on public transportation. As the writer George Taylor puts it, in the 30s, all Negroes who can do so purchase an automobile as soon as possible to be free of discomfort, discrimination, segregation, and insult. Black American employees and athletes, entertainers, and salesmen also travel frequently for work purpose. African American travelers face hardships such as white-owned businesses refusing to serve them or repair their vehicle, being refused accommodation or food by white-owned hotels, and threats of physical violence and forcible expulsion from white-only sundown towns. Green founded and published the Green Book to avoid such problems, compiling resources to give the Negro travelers information that would keep him from running into difficulties, embarrassment, and to make his trip more enjoyable. The maker of a 2019 documentary film about the book offers this summary. Everyone I was interviewing talked about the community that Green Book created, a kind of parallel universe that was created by the book, and this kind of secret roadmap that the Green Book outlined. From a New York-focused first edition published in 1936, Green expanded the work to cover much of North America, including most of the United States and part of Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Bermuda. The Green Book became the Bible of black travel during Jim Crow. enabling black travelers to find lodging, businesses, and gas stations that would serve them along the road. It was little known outside the African American community. Shortly after passage of the Civil Rights Act in 1964, which outlawed the type of racial discrimination that made the Green Book necessary, publication ceased and it fell into obscurity. Amen. Amen. See, every year they revived it, you know. And every traveler, you know, like way back then, some of you might have heard who James Brown was. They used to travel. Him and his band used to travel from city to city and place to place. And there were certain towns and cities when they get into another state that they didn't stop to because they would be harassed or maybe killed because of, they used to call those places sundown towns. So this postal worker, black postal worker, I guess he knew the certain towns that had these discriminated people. So he made this book and distributed it all over the state so people can, black travelers would go through this book when they get in Virginia or North Carolina, and they'll know exactly what town not to stop in. And they'll know some people used to accommodate them in their houses and places like that. This is how blacks have to travel from here to New York. It might take sometime a couple of days to get to New York because like right nowadays you can just pull on the side of the road and gas up. We don't know how blessed we are. Amen. Amen. Because blacks was treated real harsh. Now, that was then. There ain't too much change right now. No. You got to be careful traveling by yourself. And then you got to be careful certain times that you have there because, you know, you hear about people missing, but things happen. And the reason why they couldn't get away with these things back then because the chief of police and the mayor and all were part of the Klan group. And their goons would come out at night and do whatever they had to do, what they wanted to do to us. So we come a long way. We got a long way to go. And this is what ails me to see our black people nowadays that don't know about things like this. And now we're hurting and harming ourselves now. Amen. Amen. They would get a hold of what our ancestors went through. They would look after each other more than they do it now. I can remember when I was just a little toddler. My mom used to have to go from Goose Creek to Charleston. We used to leave early in the morning in the dark, and we had to travel on foot. And the trailway bus used to stop by, and they knew where these blacks would be stayed at on these country roads. And they would pick us up and take us to Charleston. And I don't remember seeing my mother giving them no more but some quarter change or whatever. And then when we get in Charleston, we would maneuver the city bus, and then when time to come back, the bus would farther. The bus used to come as Remont Road, and used to drop us off there, and we used to get under that old oak tree, and people that's going through our town would pick us up. It was a ride all the way home. And that's uncommon nowadays. You don't even see people stopping for people.
That's right.
We didn't have to come. We would just stand there, and people that used to work to the shipyard that live in Cross or Pineville had to go through our town to get home. So they would make sure that they pick up a little old lady with a kid. and take them where they need to go before sundown.
That's right.
And when I think about that, we used to leave home in the dark, and sometimes we just getting back in the dark.
That's right.
But then those people used to bring us past those back into our area, and then when we get back into Goose Street, we used to walk a couple of miles down the dirt road to get back to our house. But, oh man, God brought us a long way. We come a long way, but we still got a long way to go.
Yes.
We got to put in our young people's heads now. We got to start looking out for each other
That's right.
and quit hurting each other.
Yes.